not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.
Revenge of the Ninja, starring martial arts master Sho Kosugi and his son Kane Kosugi, 6-year-old world karate champion. Revenge of the Ninja. The great martial arts explosion of the 80s comes to America with full force. Revenge of the Ninja, rated R.
Now playing UA Cinema Center, Hollywood Pacific and selected theaters.
Good evening, fans of fantastic films. And wow, that was a great entrance you made, Austin.
Thank you. That was unintentional.
It was like a ninja move there. Look at that.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is our late movie night since we didn't start until now. So a couple people, I know Pamela thought we had done a segment before this. We didn't. We're live for the first time this evening, and it's been 2 weeks since we've done this show.
Yeah.
And we're very pleased to have Austin Trunick, author of the Canon Film Guide, back with us to discuss Revenge of the Ninja.
And Austin got to be Serengeti in the credits, which has to be some kind of honor for you.
I know my friends.
Amazing.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always good to hang out with you guys. This is
the 40th anniversary, right, of this movie.
Yeah. This is a big milestone anniversary for Revenge of the Ninja. It's crazy, and this is for me probably out of all the canon movies, probably the most responsible for my particular journey, my endeavor. The box. So growing up, I went the one video store that I went through my earliest years, Brookfield Video, right down the road from Valley View and the Giant Eagle in Brookfield, Ohio. They had the action section, sort of going up to the checkout. And so whenever you rent movies, you wait in line there, you'd be standing there, usually my dad. But the martial arts movies were right the bottom shelves. They were the lower shelves. So they were right at kids' eye level. And this box was the one that stared at me every time I was there. No matter what we were renting, it would be, I remember exactly where it was, like right near the end, right at eye level. And it's just, I mean, that's going to catch a young boy's eyes. That's just, it's going to burn itself in your brain. So it's
like what I thought when I was a kid. Why does a ninja have a flamethrower? Like I always wondered looking at it, and it's like,
is he being dropped out of a helicopter? Why is he like hundreds of miles above Salt Lake City?
Yeah, it's definitely superhero. That's a comic book image right there.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's cool, and it definitely caught my attention. So it's one of those things that's like, it's probably my earliest canon memory. I had this box just staring at it at a young age, and I can't tell you what canon movie I saw, but the first time I was ever aware of them and like the logo and something was definitely the Revenge of the Ninja VHS box.
Is that the actual video from that store?
That one is not. No, I wish I had some of the Brookfield Video stuff. When they cleared their stuff out, I wasn't around. I didn't get any of it, which is unfortunate. The only thing I have that's from the original stores that I rented at is my copy of New Year's Evil. Is on a cut. It's a cut box copy from one of the video updates I rented from. That's the only one I would have actually rented back then that I have the tape now, which is a bummer. I wish I had more of those.
I connected with the people that owned what was left of the video store in my hometown, and by the time I talked, they're like, "Oh yeah, we sold everything." And like, my dream is there was a carpet that had their logo on it when you walked in, a primetime video like carpet. And I was like, man, if that still existed, to have that in my movie room. Like the only thing I want more, you and I have talked about before, the Canon theaters, some of the carpet from the UK theaters. Could you imagine having that?
So I have even something since we talked about that. There's a picture of one of the events they held at. It must have been one of the like major London theaters. I don't know which one it was, but they actually had a glass light fixture. Which these sides, it was like a hexagon, and the sides were the Canon logo. It was put together in it was a one of a kind piece, I'm sure. And it's just beautiful. There's a black and white photo of Menachem and Yoram like drinking champagne in front of it, and it's just
the cheapest champagne that they could find too. It wasn't a good vintage of champagne in any way.
I love it. Just the corner store.
Every time Bill pulls a movie that played in the 80s from London now, it's always, he goes out of his way now to find Canon theaters, the Odeon one especially. And they always say all over London, and there's always multiple Canon theaters within it.
Oh yeah, I love the unique phrase "all over London."
Yeah,
it brings a lot of things to mind.
Austin, Mark Dockamast, was Enter the Ninja the first movie to popularize ninja in American pop culture?
Yeah, I would say that's very accurate. There were ninjas in one of the Bond movies of kind of like minor villain, and then of course Chuck Norris fought them in the Octagon. But Enter the Ninja was the first American film to put ninjas front and center, and a lot of the things that were associated with ninjas came out of that ninja boom really came from that movie, from the introduction. The introduction to Enter the Ninja is one of the coolest things ever. Sho Kosugi just demonstrating against a black background like all these different ninja weapons, and that was very influential. One of the things that I like to point out is nunchucks. Nunchucks were something that were not a traditional ninja weapon. They're not really stealthy. They're not nothing about a nunchuck screams secret assassin. But Nakan Galan, of course, wanted to a degree knock off Enter the Dragon, and Bruce Lee had nunchucks, and so he told Sho Kosugi, he's like, I want nunchucks in this movie. Can you demonstrate them? And Sho said, no, that's not accurate. But Menachem was the boss, and so they're in that movie. You see Franco Nero playing with them a little bit too. But I mean, if you watch Ninja Turtles or anything like that now, like the reason why I feel like that Michelangelo has nunchucks, like that's a ninja weapon now in pop culture.
Like literally most of the weapons in the beginning that Sho brought with him are the Ninja Turtles weapons. Like he demos like almost every one of their weapons.
Yeah, and with all of these movies, Sho Kosugi would show up on set with several duffel bags, and these were weapons that he had custom made, that he sold it through his stores and through his mail order. So all these weapons you see came with Sho Kosugi just in a duffel that I'm sure he had to check on the airplane.
Brought his own eye patch for Ninja 3 too.
yeah, from the sword handle.
Was he like the bride flying back to Japan with that sword beside her?
I like that everybody has a sword holder on the plane in Kill Bill. That's my favorite little weird thing in that movie. I was just thinking about it today. Because someone's like, how would you carry a sword? Because my brother-in-law has a bunch of swords now. And like, could you imagine carrying those? And I'm like, yeah, in Kill Bill, they have carriers on the plane for everybody. It's amazing.
So many people wanted to bring their sword on the aircraft. You know, I had to laugh, Austin, when you were talking about how clumsy nunchucks are as weapons. You know, with the rise of martial arts films, the kids were really into it. Like this interest in martial arts, karate, and you know, everything was karate at one point. Like, oh, you're into the karate. But eventually we became more sophisticated, and these things like started to become more familiar to us. And there was always like some douchebag though that we knew who was way too old to be acting like that, who acted like he was just the biggest martial arts badass because he like took, you know, Taekwondo or something. And I'm not going to take that away from anybody, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's a douchebag type that is attracted to that. And one of our neighbors was like that. And I just like remember him saying to me one time, like about how he got into a confrontation in a parking lot somewhere, and he pulled over like at a stop sign or something, and someone walked up to his window and was like fucking with him, and he's like, "I always keep a pair of nunchucks under the front seat." And I was like, "What? What the fuck would you do with nunchucks? You're sitting in your car."
Yeah, like roll down the window real fast.
What's amazing is that like beyond in England, beyond the video nasties, like nunchucks are edited out of most movies because of the ease of use. And that's why Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in England, because they don't even use the term ninja in a lot of movies, which is pretty wild.
I was one of those kids that bought ninja weapons at a flea market.
Me too.
I don't have my childhood copy of Revenge of the Ninja, but if I dug around in this closet here for about a second, I have my childhood ninja sword that I bought from a flea market and hid under my couch so my parents wouldn't find out about it.
Spoiler warning for the drink recipe. Some of my ninja stars from the Rogers flea market might be in the drink recipe.
That's where my sword came from too.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
That was many young ninjas in training went to the Rogers flea market and bought them off the hoods of cars that were parked in the flea market.
I had my sword. I had my Rambo knife that I got from Rogers. I don't know what happened. I had a full ninja outfit. I mean, I would not fit in that now. It was
if you did love Rambo, Rogers was the place to go in the 80s. Like there were so many booths. You could get the Rambo necklace. You could get the bow and arrow, the knife. You could really be outfitted in the weapons of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
My brother famously wanted a bullet from the south of the Bill. We've talked about south of the border before, and their martial arts store within south of the border.
Oh, I always forget about that.
Yeah, my brother wanted a bullet to the point that it nearly broke our family up. It was pretty bad. He was like literally barricading himself to not get in the van. He's like, "We can't leave till I get this bullwhip." My dad was like, "It's 100 degrees. Get in the fucking car." And he just the whole way home, he was just crying, "My bullwhip." And I'm thinking to myself, like,
Oh,
I really don't want him to have a bullwhip because who's he gonna hit with it?
yeah.
I'm gonna have to hold cigarettes in my mouth, and I don't want to do that. I'm 10. So anyway,
Well, you did it for the rest of your life.
I did.
Stunts like that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I gotta say, there's one episode of South Park where the kids have a ninja fight and it turns into anime, and it ends with I think Butters gets his eye put out. That's every day of my childhood. Was my brother and I were obsessed with how can we get butterfly knives and ninja weapons involved in our day-to-day play. We really had a lot of that. So this movie fits right in. I was going to ask you, Austin. This is a very hard one for me. Of the three, I saw Chris brought it up earlier. Of the three Canon Ninja movies, what's your favorite? That's a really hard question because I can't answer it myself.
All right, well, I'm gonna answer that. I have props here.
Oh, okay.
Carrot Top. Got all three of them here. The answer is gonna be Revenge. And
okay.
It's out of pure nostalgia, probably, just because it is the one that, like, once I was able to rent it, I would rent it over and over again. But it's tough. It is tough. I think this one is just. This goes for all sorts of canon movies, but I think just a kind of perfect blend of being a great action movie. There's some great stunts. The fight choreography is awesome. There is so much cool ninja stuff. The last 10 minutes are the only thing that's cool is the last 10 minutes of this movie or the first 10 minutes of Ninja 3.
Yeah.
It's got all of that going for it, but it's also it's silly. It's not afraid to be silly. Like it's Sam Furstenberg is a great director, but he's he knows the things that are in here are kind of dumb and he embraces it. There's you'll see the thugs dressed as the village people. You've got a 7-year-old kid beating the crap out of people using ninja stuff. You got a black flipping grandma. You've got all kinds of wild stuff like that. And so it kind of straddles those two things between being a really just kind of like fun B movie and being a good martial arts movie. Great stunts, great action in it. And I don't think many films strike that balance as well as Revenge does.
It's amazing that it's Sam Furstenberg's second movie too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think especially like you said, the first 10 minutes of Ninja 3 are I think some of his best directed stuff where there's like a helicopter shot and you don't see a helicopter a couple times. Like it's really like he doesn't use the limitations of the budget to get in the way of his imagination a couple times in that first 10 minutes. If you guys haven't seen it, there's a ninja that kills maybe 300, 400 cops, a bunch of golfers, people that are just hanging out on the course. Like it is one of the most insane openings and you're like, can the rest of the movie live up to this? And it kind of does in a weird way. Like it really puts a challenge there. The other amazing thing about this movie is one of the subplots in it is I was looking it up this week. So I'm like, there's no way this could ever happen of cocaine being smuggled in dolls. It totally did in 2017. There was a grandmother that ordered a mermaid doll for her daughter off the internet, broke it open, and there was cocaine in it when the daughter dropped the doll. So this has actually happened. There's a major cocaine inside dolls subplot. Don't trust anybody. Sho Kosugi.
I saw Wait Until Dark. I know that dolls always have drugs inside them. In that movie, it was heroin, but cocaine.
You hit on my other favorite thing is the gang in this movie is like something out of River City Ransom or Double Dragon. They're just like a weird mix of like future Michael Myers. Yeah. Don Shanks as a Native American is my favorite one.
And it's like a Double Dragon boss or something.
Yeah, they need like 3 punk rock dudes to be movie punks to be with them to make it even better. So it's pretty awesome, and that's what I like about it. It's like there's moments where like it's not realistic. Also, it starts off maybe a bit. Maybe I'll talk when we come back, but it starts off hard. Like it goes real hard in the beginning. Like why Shokasugi wants revenge to a point you're like, wow, I can't believe I saw some of this. It's pretty great. So yeah. As you know, anyone that watches the show, but also I know Austin is like, canon is super dear to my heart. This is a great one. Enter the Ninja's so good too, though, because it's like, why is Franco Nero a ninja? I mean, I know why. Mike Stone couldn't be it. You know,
all three are brilliant. Like nobody could ever say I want to watch one of these movies and I would steer them otherwise. I'm happy to watch any one of these three films at any time.
The only thing this one is missing is Christopher George's amazing death scene from Enter the Ninja, which is one of the greatest death scenes. I had to pick for one of my movie challenges next month, like a movie with an extra long death scene. I'm like, fuck, I already wrote about Enter the Ninja. That's my all-time favorite one. It just is that, like when he reaches out, it's so good.
Yeah, and there's the shrug.
Why are we watching this one tonight? What made you guys choose this one tonight? Like what? Because it's the anniversary.
That was one one reason. 40 years. September 9th was the actual date. Dates get you all over wherever you read it. It'll be slightly different because the movie was released like regionally. They're sending the prince along from one place to another, but so that, but also I love this one. I feel like Ninja 3 gets watched more often. I that's another reason, but yeah, I wanted to do something to celebrate, and when Sam had some nights open, I got really excited to watch this with a crew.
This makes me even sadder that I didn't get to go to Salt Lake City with Becca, because I would have been like, oh fuck, that's a location from Enter the Ninja.
Yeah, you can visit. So you can visit quite a few of them.
Oh, that's crazy. Salt Lake City pretty much opened up the whole town to this movie, huh? And like, you know, you can do anything you want pretty much in this city.
Oh yeah, so you get some great money. And you get some great shots of the city from that rooftop battle.
Yeah,
that we'll see in it. You get some really. It makes Salt Lake look really nice. I apologies to anybody from Salt Lake if they're in the chat here. I don't know much about the city, but other than what I've seen in this film.
Becca was just there. She got we showed it on the show a couple weeks ago. She got to see Halloween 6 where they shot it, and then she did a lot of film tours of 4, 5, and 6, even breaking into Vincent Drug and stealing a brick because they're knocking it down. So she got a brick from the set. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to bring up too is Steve Lambert, who was the stunt coordinator. He's almost every ninja in this movie, huh? He's like repeated a ninja in this movie.
And he passed away a few weeks ago.
Really?
Oh. Yeah, that's another thing that came up, because when you had reached out, he had just passed unexpectedly. He was out filming a film in Israel and got back, and unexpectedly. So he was not very old. But yeah, he's fantastic in this, and this was his first movie as a stunt coordinator, and he went on to do Ninja 3, American Ninja, POW The Escape for Canon, but he also worked on Remo Williams. He's the guy hanging off of the pole around the Statue of Liberty in that amazing stunt, which he actually did, which is insane. He worked on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He did a bunch of episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger. Just great, super nice guy. He wrote a great book. He has a memoir that you can pick up pretty cheap on Kindle edition, and it's just him telling Shokasugi stories, David Carradine stories. It's great.
And Sam Furstenberg has a really good book too about his days of making films too.
Yeah, that one's absolutely Stories from the Trenches.
Yeah,
definitely people should pick that up if they're interested, because there are some great interviews in there and some just amazing stories. Sam Furstenberg, besides doing all the Canon stuff, and like it's also a really great history of like how New Image began, because he did a lot of New Image stuff after Canon. From a lot of the Canon people ended up going there. But he also, he worked for Golden Globus throughout the 70s before Canon. starting as a bicycle messenger on some of their films, which is amazing. But he worked on Sorcerer, like for Friedkin. Like he was part of the Israeli crew working on that. So like it's a fantastic book. If you love his stuff, like I definitely recommend Stories from the Trenches.
And while you're buying books, don't forget to get Austin's 2 books, Canon Film Guide 1 and 2, which if you like action movies or want to know about Canon, especially if you want to know about Tobe Hooper, holy cow, there's so much Tobe Hooper in these books. There's like a lot that you will learn, especially about Chainsaw. The stuff about Chainsaw 2, you have so many things about it that I had never heard anywhere else. And I'm always struck by the idea that the printing factory that they filmed it in was literally like bleeding ink out of the walls because it was so hot. Like it was such, I always think Texas Chainsaw 1 had a horrific set. 2 feels like even more of a horrific set once you read some of the stuff you wrote about it.
You see some of the old photos, and a lot of the photos that were taken on set were black and white, like behind the scenes photos. And you see like black all over people's hands and clothes, and in black and white, it looks like it might be like blood or something. You can't guess. That was just the ink. That was the ink that they were covered with, and they were breathing every day when they were shooting that thing. It's just gross.
And everybody was sick. Like how many days did they shoot in? Like 28 days or even less, right?
Yeah. They started right at the end of May and they finished on the 4th of July. So it was the script was not done, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that set, you mentioned the ink. They decorated with a lot of bones and like stuff they got from slaughterhouses. So like there was some rancid like meat smells in there. And this was middle of summer in Austin, Texas. It was over 100 degrees, and they were lighting that Sawyer like cavern that they live in is lit with like lamps and light bulbs and Christmas lights and things like that. And it was extremely hot in there. And
wait, did Bob Burns, did he do the set for that also, or was that just the original?
That was, no, they got a guy from one of the colleges down there. Basically like college students, like in our department, came and built that for them. Just as a as a project, which is crazy.
It's funny because my sister-in-law, we were talking about movies today, and she said, "Oh, I didn't see Texas Chainsaw until I was 35, and it's still scary to me." She said, "Does that movie scare you?" And I said, "It's not scary, but when I think about both the first 2 movies, what the actors went through, that's what's frightening to me when I watch them. Thinking like everything here smelled so bad in both movies, and like you've talked in the book too, that everybody was super sick. People were like, I think when the writer was finishing the script, he passed out him and Toby both passed out at their computers finishing it because they were so sick. And it's like, and they were on this, Canon kept sending other directors to be like, we'll finish this movie if you don't finish it. Like they were up against the wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Newt Arnold, who that's how he got Bloodsport, which is their deal with him is we need you to go keep Tobe Hooper in line, make sure he gets his movie done. Like when you get back, you can direct this other script, and they sent him to Hong Kong to make Bloodsport.
It's really wild because it's the exact opposite experience that Toby had with him on Life Force, where it was like, it seemed like a never ending shoot of like, try more effects. Here's do kind of whatever you want. And it was like very compressed to make Chainsaw 2.
Yeah. Life Force, he had so much free reign and so much time. That's one of the longest shoots that Canon was ever involved with. And then Invaders from Mars, it went over, and Canon actually let him go over. But I think that's where it led into a lot of the problems, because he was still wanting to work on Invaders, and they had already sold Texas 2 to be in theaters in August. They had trailers and things like that, and he wasn't even supposed to direct it. He hadn't even found the director yet to direct it. So he ended up having to take it over and shoot it in that very truncated amount of time.
I remember when the trailer played in theaters, the sheer excitement of people. Like it wasn't even any scenes from the movie or anything like telling you what it was. It was just the idea that it was going to happen was like a big deal.
And tonally, it's tonally it looks like it's going to be like this very straight horror movie. So I can understand if a lot of people went in kind of expecting it to be something very much what it wasn't.
Yeah. I know this is probably the wrong tape. I like 2 so much.
That's how I felt about it the
Mhm.
first
Yeah.
time I saw
I
it.
love to, especially the ending in when we finally get to her on top of the mountain and she's screaming, like after like
Yeah,
conquering all these guys. Like it's, I love that movie. So,
yeah.
and I wish that
It's
the uncensored stuff that got cut, that there was like, I know a lot of this. There's a lot that's just going to be gone forever.
Yeah, there's all of these movies, the ninja movies, very like they have some great stills and lobby cards that aren't scenes that aren't in the movie or like in the trailer. You can see scenes in especially Ninja in Revenge and Ninja 3 that aren't like little seconds that aren't in the film. And Canon, they why pay for film storage when a dumpster was a cheap rental for the weekend? Like that's what the unfortunate thing about it. Most of the stuff's gone.
I always think
We'll
like
never
people are like, how couldn't Canon save money
I-
do that? And I'm like, you got sandwiches when you went to a meeting with them. You didn't get to go to a fancy restaurant. You know what I mean? Like you got a hoagie is what you got to eat, no matter who you were. So it's like, yeah, they spent money on the movies versus
Yeah.
the other things. Sorry,
Yeah.
Bill, you were gonna say
I like to think somewhere there's a vault somewhere, an air-conditioned vault that has canisters of these films that have been lost and this footage that has been lost, and probably the lost footage from Event Horizon is in there.
Yeah.
Outtakes from Mommy Dearest, stuff that I've been dying to see.
the
That
fixed up the
existed
right
and they
audio
just
for
threw it
America
away.
3000 for Austin. That's what
Yeah.
he wants to come out.
London After Midnight's in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere maybe.
It's
Yeah,
happened though, like that article I did for the new issue of Driving a Sound Bill about Renato Pacelli. One of his movies was considered lost forever, and it just randomly showed up at a censorship office, and then somebody from that censorship office said, "I'm going to upload this to YouTube." Why? But it got on YouTube, and that's how anybody found it. It's never been released. Now there's another version
Amazing.
that has a lot more because it showed up in comic books. The Fumettis, the photo comics had a lot darker versions, but get the new issue. There's instead of me telling you about it now, maybe we'll put it behind the paywall of ordering the new issue. And I told Bill this is one of my favorite issues. The also known as section that Bill did for this issue is one of my favorite things he's done in a while because he and I joke about this all the time about we rarely refer to movies by the right names. Bill's wearing a pig shirt, and I'm wearing a Return of the Living Dead shirt that Bill made me, which someone's like, "Oh, I really like that movie, but that's not Night of the Living Dead. Isn't that the one John Russo did?" And I was like, "Oh, no, it's not." And then I just giggled. And I'm like,
No.
"Oh, only Bill was here to have this conversation with me."
Here's a preview of what Sam
Yeah.
was talking about. It's a special feature in this issue. It's the best of Also Known As, which is a feature in Drive-In Asylum that I've been doing since the very first issue. It's kind of one of the reasons why I started doing Drive-In Asylum is because of stuff like this, how there's so many different names for just one movie. And I've run all these ads before, but I've sort of collected all the biggies in one place for this issue. Don't Look in the Basement. Also, there's one of Sam's other faves here, Eaten Alive.
Oh yes, Starlight Swamp.
Starlight Slaughter.
Yeah, Starlight Slaughter. Yeah, there was one in here that Legend of the Bayou was one I never knew. Like that one blew my mind.
Yeah, it was sort of presented as like a nature run amok movie about a giant killer alligator, which technically I guess it is, but not really.
And
That's cool. That's
yesterday
really cool.
was Saturday was SF Brown Riggs' birthday.
Yes,
and
I was just waiting to bring it up. Happy birthday, SF Brown Riggs.
And Friday was our friend Brett McCormick's birthday, who directed The Abomination and Replicator and tons of other movies. Which
I didn't know it was Brett's birthday.
Yeah, it was. He because there's an interview of Brett on the site that I did, and he texted me. He's like, "Hey, what a great birthday thing to wake up to!" And he sent me 2 emails thanking me. I'm like, "Dude, you made one of my favorite movies, and you talked to me for 3 hours. Like, I'm the one that should be thanking you. Like, that was awesome." But Brett's one of the nicest guys. A couple of his other movies, Visual Vengeance, did have snuck out onto Tubi that are going to be digital only ones for Visual Vengeance. I'll be sharing them on the site this week, but pretty excited because I love Brett's movies, especially if you haven't seen Replicator yet. Oh boy, it's something else. So, and you get your Replicator glasses with it when you buy it. the Visual Vengeance one, so you can spot replicators so that you're not taken over by them, which is always important, critically important. Oh man!
Back to our feature of the evening, Revenge of the Ninja. Let's look at some advertisements.
Oh yeah. Just the tagline of this one is making me like hyperactive. The 400 years of training in the art of sudden death, unleashed in 20th century America. I'm like a child again, like diving down the steps, doing my fat kid ninja moves. This is wonderful.
I was like, wow, this person's been training for 400 years. They're not going to feel like doing any of this shit.
Yeah. They're like Christopher Lee in The Howling. How old is he if he's been fighting them for 1,000 years? The Howling 2, sorry.
And if you can't do it after 5 or 6 years, you should give it up. 400 years. But anyway, this is pretty much the only ad design that I have to show, unfortunately, just in varying degrees of resolution here, which always turns me on. I love the really blotchy newspaper images.
Yeah.
Those get me very excited. Seriously, like where there's details that you can't quite make out, because that's how I used to see them in the newspaper. Like, the movie section wasn't really prominent for many years in our local paper that we got where I lived. So I didn't get to see like big ads. We didn't buy the Pittsburgh papers. It was only 20 minutes away. Like Pittsburgh, that's so far off.
My grandmother was the only one that got the Sunday one. Mm-hmm. So when you got the Sunday one, it was a big deal. I love this cut down one though. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
I also like that it feels like they chopped up the type themselves to fit it into that.
Yeah, box. Thank you. I was going to comment on that.
Works. Yeah, it's awesome.
Scissors did that.
Yeah, that wasn't a graphic designer, especially with that E and the T being off. It's awesome.
Scissors. I mean, a ninja did it.
Yeah,
with a little blade.
This ad 400 years of graphic design in the art. I couldn't imagine seeing. Well, but we are going to see it at midnight. But I couldn't imagine seeing this in a theater at midnight with other people. What an amazing life these folks had.
Oh, how could I have missed this comment, Mike Justice? I love you.
Bill and I may have talked about the child and the children on our latest commentary track we did and giggled.
Oh, yeah. I guess we did.
Yeah. My wife said 400 years of bad fonts. That's what this is. Oh, man. This is, I think, a perfect drive-in movie, guys, because it's the kind of movie that it works for a drive-in. Wow.
Oh, yeah. This would be fun to see on a huge screen.
Yeah.
I saw Ninja 3 last summer at the Mahoning, and just this past summer they did American Ninja.
Oh,
but I've yet to catch Revenge at a drive-in.
American Ninja's coming out from Kino soon too, and 1 and 2, so that's pretty exciting.
Very nice.
Yeah. Hopefully, I saw that huge stack of stuff you had, and you're like, I'd like to share this with people. Every time they put out one, I'm always like, hey guys, like I know someone that has so much stuff about the movies that you have bare bones extras on. Like maybe they'll let you have it to use for this. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to. Yeah, that's the exact reason I have this stuff, and I've been hoarding it. I actually I put a big picture on Twitter today. That's why my office is kind of torn apart right now. But I was taking everything because the actual shelf I had these old Variety magazines. They're all 600, 700 pages long. All these Can and AFM issues and things like that. And the shelf I had it on was actually Boeing. So I got that off of there, and I have a few more late 70s issues that just came in from NEFED, came fresh from Italy.
Oh wow.
In a very beat up cardboard box, but I've got to add those into everything. These are so heavy, so they're hard to actually navigate and rearrange without taking everything off and putting everything back on. But yeah, there's some great, even Revenge of the Ninja ads. I should have dug more out, but I've got some very early ones that have when Stephen Hayes was supposed to star in it, sort of play the Keith Vitale role. Some early ads for that with Menachem listed as the director. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. American Ninja would be something that if I have the Chuck Norris versions of the American Ninja ads. I have the Shokasugi American Ninja ads. And then, of course, all the Dudikoff ones that came when he was finally cast in it. But yeah, it's stuff that, labels, if they want. I've got a pretty complete collection now of market trades from about 1978 through about 1993. So really great era for for video and grindhouse and exploitation stuff. But I have a few odds and ends here I can grab and show. I'll be reaching off the camera here. And Canon's, this is their 1983, like what's coming ahead for the year book. But this is a great Revenge of the Ninja ad right here. This is what they used for a lot of their pre-sales once show was actually cast. And what I love about it is it wasn't taken for the movie. This was a poster that show sold through mail order through his store, just with the Revenge of the Ninja stuff added to it. This was just a much earlier photo poster that he had. And yeah, the next page has got some, not to spoil anything, but some cool scenes on it. But let me reach off here. Again, I couldn't find the Spanish poster, which I hope to have up behind me, but the French poster is pretty great. I'm waiting to frame this one, but yeah, when the movie was called Ultimate Violence, in the Revenge of the Ninja. Again, we get some great stuff here. We get, the wrestler, I'm blanking his name now, but holding Ashley Ferrara there, and
yeah, I like that they made this seem much sexier than it might be.
Yeah.
It's
funny with the international marketing, like what they choose to focus on, because a lot of that is a lot of the international posters.
We always joke that anytime there's a lot of sex in a movie, we're like, well, that was for the foreign investors. They asked for
that. The Spanish poster I wanted to hang, and I'm sorry I could not find it in time after I got home here, but it's very large. It's got the focus is kind of on Kane Kosugi.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very large. You would think he was as big a star as Sho in it, but it's just a little kid with a sword, and like Sho Kosugi kind of above him, and it's really cool in that way because he's a character. He's not as big in this one, but I've got some other cool stuff, but I can save that for after the movie if we want. I'll
Vince in chat let us know that's Toru Tanaka is the wrestler.
Yes,
that is in that.
I knew I could count on you to supply the name there.
And also, when we were at the drive-in this week, we saw a movie with another wrestler, Harold Sakata, who was Odd Job. And Bill was like, wow. I know that he's one of Bill's favorites in that movie.
I might have enjoyed that a whole lot, especially on a giant screen.
Yeah. We, Bill, I love the videos you've been putting up this week of our drive-in experience, and it was great. Before we show the drink recipe, just want to say, I've been thinking about it a lot this week because work was real rough this week. So a lot of times I was like, just like 2 days ago, I was at the drive-in and everything was normal, or not normal maybe. And I was hanging out with everybody. A lot of the folks from the chat were there, and it was such a great experience. And and here I am back writing SEO about skin tags. That's what I wrote all week. So maybe I'd rather be at the drive-in.
I went back to the grind too. I was off for a whole week. Like I always take time off before and after the Monsterama, because I'm usually finishing the issue or something around then, and I need some time to just focus on the creative stuff. It makes it more fun once you get there to watch a couple nights of movies. And it flew by so fast. That's the one thing is that you spend so much time building this up, and it's going to happen, and then all of a sudden, boom, 2 days and it's over. But seeing everybody there is what it's really all about now for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the movies too, but it's really nice to get to hang out with everybody. Chris was there, Paul Workmeister, Craig Edwards. I don't know if Craig's in the chat.
Yeah, Mark was there. Mark Dockham.
Mark Dockham was there, and Roger Frolian was there. Just so many folks. I know I'm going to forget people. We saw Dave and Sam from the store.
Sean Midas was there too.
Sean Midas, Sean Collier. Was there.
AC Nicholas was also there, as well as Chris. Both of them were there together at different points, which was mind-blowing that they were both there. They have been seen in the same place together, so One has a fez and one doesn't.
Steve. Yeah, I met Steve Wilson there too.
Yeah,
You
Steve
met
Wilson.
Steve, didn't you?
Paul Workmeister was there one night as well. So yeah, we had a good crew of folks hanging out, and we had some really high power drinks that second night. That absinthe the second night was
Yeah. I mean, if you were there and you talked to us and we didn't mention it, that probably means we don't remember talking to you. So
Mode
remind
Mixologist was
us.
there too. Yeah, we had Kenny there. Yeah,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
there was a
Kenny
lot of drinking going on before, after, during the movies. The the joy of the first night was that it didn't rain, and
Yeah.
everybody got to sit together and spend a little more time together. But Impulse was awesome, seeing the Grindhouse releasing version of that on a huge screen. And man, I love that movie. I've always liked it, but seeing the new version of it and watching it always, like, that's why I love doing the show. Watching movies with others like really improves it. And man, William Shatner's outfits in that movie are fucking insane.
They match so much wallpaper that I distinctly remember from the 1970s, except it was on his clothing, which was
The
fucking
biggest
unreal.
surprise of that movie is when I got back to the car. Becca said, I stayed awake for a lot of Impulse, and she said, I love the little girl. She smashes plates and acts up so much. I love her. And she's like, you're getting all those sports coats that William Shatner had. He's like, I got to get you one.
Yeah, George Reese, really the promoter or the, organizer of the event. The promoter is Gene, who's been on the show a couple of times. George got really hammered on Jesus juice really early. I mean, it was before even the movies had started, and I was like, "Whoa, George is loaded." But I talked to him later, and he was fine.
He came over and said, and we were talking. He goes, "I came here for a drink," and I was like, "Okay." So he got one of the cocktails right away. So yeah.
Oh, they were so good too. Thank you for bringing that.
The drink tonight for Revenge of the Ninja has so much alcohol in it. I don't know why. I was like trying to find a good Ninja drink, and I wanted to do one that, even though it has a lot of ingredients, I didn't want to be like something with sake in it or something, because people be like, God, I know there are a few folks that do buy the ingredients. I'm like, seems like these are things that everyone will have in the bar, versus like, hey, let's get sake or ouzo or some kind of, all the other ones had really weird ingredients. So I tried to keep it as normal as I could.
Sorry, you were talking, so I typed something to Eldon, and then he stopped.
So
okay, so let's do the cocktail, and
when
we come back, we can talk some more about the drive-in or whatever before we start the movie.
Ninja time.
Revenge of the Ninja. This is the second Canon's 3 wonderful ninja movies. Cubby speaking up, telling us everybody he loves Shokusaji. Let's see what we can do. This is a United Nations drink. Every country
Look at my countertop.
has a ninja. We have a Russian ninja.
We have a Monongahela ninja.
Monongahela ninja. We have a Mexican ninja. We have a Puerto Rican ninja. I don't know where
British.
Yeah, British ninja. Another Mexican ninja.
Caribbean.
A stripper
Caribbean.
stripper ninja. Starry ninja. Simple syrup ninja. And a maraschino cherry samurai. Anyway, let's go through these. Half an ounce on all the liquor, except for the Midori. We're going to do an ounce. Half an ounce of lemon juice. Half an ounce of the simplest of syrups. Splash to your taste of some lemon lime syrup. It doesn't have to be Starry.
Soda.
But what if it was Starry? What if they did sponsor us? And finally, the cherries from the fabulous country where ninjas come from, right next to Okinawa, maraschino. All right, so my wife has so helpfully already put these
All your
together
liquors in one thing.
into this beaker-like concoction. So we're going to put that in your shaker. Fill your shaker up with throwing stars or ice. We're going to do some lemon juice, simple syrup, because there's a lot of liquor in here.
And that sugar.
Yeah, get that sugar. Oh, it's a Saturday in Monongahela when the lawnmowers are out and Cubby's lost his mind. Tell him, Cubby. Shake it up like you're fighting in the streets. Like your best friend has sold you out. Spoiler warning. Oh, man. Look at that strength.
Hubby.
And look at that.
That's
Now,
glowing.
It's glowing. Now, we're gonna set it off, as the kids say, with some little float of Starry. And then, look at this. Look, this is how I've grown as a husband. A single guy would have just brought over the
Just
chair.
put his fingers in.
And just dripped it all over the place. No, I've done it so I haven't dripped anything. But I did promise you Ninja Magic. Where is that Ninja Magic? Oh my gosh. It's a coaster. A Ninja coaster for your drink. How perfect, how special.
Where did you get that Ninja Star?
I've had it for years. I've got it at a flea
Why
market.
do we own it?
Noah gave it to me. My brother gave it to me and said, someday this will protect you. This is that day. It is protecting this counter from spills.
Mm-hmm. Nothing can protect from baby spills.
Let's take a sip. Pazuzu, it's the six-sided star of Pazuzu. Let's take a sip. Ninja tea. Ninja tea. Pazuzu, let's watch a movie.
Pazuzu to all of Yuzu. And
I have to show everybody early what Mark gave us a gift at the drive-in. This will be used in a future drink. He actually got us, Bill and I, Pazuzu tiki glasses, which is amazing. So look at that. So any drink that you drink will be possessed. Tell me your dream name. I have a glass now for this, so I'm super excited about it.
I'm a bad friend because I forgot to go get my Pazuzu mug.
Oh,
I didn't even realize there was writing on it.
Yeah, and look, he's even on the bottom. Look, Captain Howdy on the bottom.
Pazuzu.
Pazuzu. Hey. Hey, yeah. You want to make a drink, huh? Sorry, that's Helena Marcos.
An excellent day for one of Sam's cocktails.
How have we not done a thing with Pazuzu talking to Helena Marcos yet?
Well, they need to have a long, in-depth conversation.
Hey, you want to come out with a new movie next Friday, huh, Pazuzu, huh?
Tell me more about that bitch of an American girl.
I was possessed once, but I got better.
Oh, I love when she says that. Don't worry, he's gone.
He's gone. Don't worry, he's gone. Oh, man. Bill, I think we're actually going to go see the new Exorcist next Friday. I really want to be there day one and real drunk for it. So, pretty excited.
I saw a trailer tonight on TV. I don't know. I just can't get excited about it.
No, I know.
No matter how hard I try, I just can't get excited about it. How do you feel, Austin, about the new Exorcist reboot?
That news this week about A24 maybe buying the Halloween series or Miramax to do a reboot. Miramax wants to do it because they would own all the full movies. They'd be able to put them all out. And so they're talking about doing a TV series too, because everybody's excited about that Crystal Lake show that's probably never going to happen. So,
Austin,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the new Exorcist reboot?
Boy, I won't be rushing out to see it, but it's one that when it's streaming, I will definitely be checking it out. It's so hard for me to get to movies at this time, so that's not what I'm going to use the babysitter on. I'll say it that way.
You and I have talked about before. It's like, it's funny that all this canon properties out there, like this IPs of canon. It's like there's a lot of, they could do a lot of stuff. You could have Chuck Norris be the Lee Marvin of a new Delta Force, and we could have like something really cool like these specials, or there's a lot of these things that could exist, but
I can't wait to get that headline that comes across my news feed. Jamie Lee Curtis signs on to Halloween TV series.
Oh, Bill, you know what the worst is? I got conned again into watching American Horror Story this season. My wife said, I came home the other night after we did the commentary track. She's like, I watched the first one. It wasn't too bad. And then I came back and watched it, and it was like somehow I got to watch the Kardashians' first episode of this season, and Kim Kardashian is in it's Rosemary's Baby. It's the worst award show I've seen since Halloween 4 or The Lonely Lady. Or not Halloween 4, The Howling 4. It's like, how bad the award show looks in The Lonely Lady? That's how bad this award show looked. It was like, the American Spirit Awards were like, our awards look way better than this. What fucking award show are you at? That's how bad these awards look. So, yeah. But such is life. Austin, what reboot, if any reboot, would be exciting to you?
Oh gosh.
None is also a good answer.
We're putting you on the spot, and we're not sorry.
Yeah, that's tough. Gosh. Gonna give me a few seconds.
Yeah. Obviously not the Death Wish reboot that happened.
No.
Away.
I mean, you mentioned the canon. Like, I don't think the canon. Like, I would love to see another American Ninja. They could do that, and like very easily, Michael Dudikoff to come back and like pass on a sword or something like that. I think that would work even better than Chuck and doing a Delta Force or something. I think Michael Dudikoff's still in the he's still young enough that I think he'd be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
I think I would love to see that out of all the canon properties. So the comment, nice.
Dudikoff, the man that was nearly Spider-Man before there was he could have been Spider-Man at one point.
Yeah, I mean, they talked to him. They pitched him Superman before they got Christopher Reeve to sign on. Like, if they couldn't get Christopher Reeve, their backup plan was to have Michael Dudikoff.
That's amazing to me.
Be Superman and Superman 4. Because they were going to make the 4th Superman movie whether or not Reeve was involved.
I know this is a focus of your next book, so maybe I don't want to spoil anything. But I know there's a lot of unrealized canon projects. Maybe instead of a reboot, what is the one unrealized canon project that you'd most like to see?
Gosh, there's like I could give you 20 of those. Yeah. There's so many great ones. I mean, just Tobe Hooper wise, like Pinocchio the Robot would have been amazing. It was going to be Lee Marvin as Geppetto as like a sci-fi Pinocchio like retelling, and the script was going to be by Dan O'Bannon, which is insane. Like Dan O'Bannon writing sci-fi Pinocchio starring Lee Marvin, directed by Tobe Hooper. That was originally supposed to be what would have come after Tobe Hooper's Spider-Man, which is something that we almost got for a while. Ever since like Barbie did so well this summer, I kind of wonder what Canon's Barbie movie would have looked like, because Canon and Mattel were talking about doing a Barbie movie if Masters of the Universe went well. So that's something in an alternate universe we could have got. There's, so many great Charles Bronson movies. Bronson's Gollum.
That's the one that I was thinking of. Yeah.
Super cool. It would have been Charles Bronson chasing down a stop motion monster like claymation that could like come up and out of people's sewers and murder people. And we would have gotten a supernatural horror movie with Charles Bronson, and like after Kinjite. Like that was the thing, is it was going to film right after Kinjite, had Canon not imploded and had Jill not taken a turn for the worse at that point. Mm-hmm. There are so many American Ninja sequels that the original American Ninja 3, before Dudikoff said no, would have been him and Steve James basically wiping out a Colombian like drug cartel, which was just awesome. That one, the script exists. I have the screenplay for that one, and it's great. It's a bummer that it didn't happen. I like David Bradley, but we didn't get another Dudikoff and James one right there. Would have been wonderful. But that's something that I'm working on down the road. There's a good, almost 200 unrealized canon projects just from the Golden Globus period, which is insane. And
we talked a couple weeks ago too about them, that rumor that they own Grizzly 2, and I still don't believe it, because it feels like something they would have definitely advertised. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Just like reaching off camera here. This is only here because I was digging for that Revenge poster I never ended up finding, but like this is like their 1988 distribution catalog. And it's got, it's incredibly heavy. There's eight movies per page, broken down by categories. There's some 600, 700 movies in here, and
it's practically Nightmare USA.
Yeah.
but there's no Grizzly in here. Like that's something, had they owned it in 1988.
If they had the slightest bit of ownership for it, they would have already talked about it.
Yeah, because they've got all kinds of wacky. So someday someday if I find myself out in the Pittsburgh area again, I'm going to throw this in my trunk.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to find a place to meet you guys, and we're going to go through the horror section. You're going to tell me what all of these movies were, because so many of them are under different titles and things like that, because they were trying to sell stuff like 70s movies that they bought and were trying to resell for video in the 80s under new titles or with changed names and stuff like that.
Oh, that would
It'd be
be,
fun.
I think, a dream afternoon for Bill and I to
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I figure if anybody can piece together what these are, because I've definitely punched some in IMDb and been like, okay, this is not the title. This is
My favorite is I named Dustin Hoffman Project, and he's like, please don't put me in the ads. and they did it anyway, and he's like, please don't do it again, and they did it again. And he's like, I'm not going to make any movies.
Yeah, they had Chris Walken movies. They had Al Pacino signed up for stuff.
John Travolta,
three different John
Travolta?
Travolta movies.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Was
Yeah,
it a disco dancing movie?
The one that there were two. The one was going to pair up Travolta with Whoopi Goldberg, and it was going to be basically like your buddy cop movie. But John Travolta was going to play like the buttoned up, like plays by the roles cop, and Whoopi Goldberg was going to be the rookie who didn't play by the roles. And like they advertised this in like 1986. Like this is something that almost came about. There were two Whoopi Goldberg movies. Like they never made anything, but they had advertised another movie where she was going to play a hooker that Walter Matthau fell in love with, like
Walter.
a crime like comedy movie. And yeah, he was going to play like an old corrupt
Jumping
like
Jack Flash
politician.
2. Becca just yelled in the background.
Yeah, I mean, so many. The John Travolta, yeah, he did one with Rebecca De Mornay, just called Crack, and it was going to be a movie about, the crack epidemic and like the cops had to put it down. It was going to be John Travolta and Rebecca De Mornay doing.
They couldn't get Whitney Houston for that.
It's amazing some of the. What always amazes me is like how many great directors and like really huge talent can suffer as bad of a name as, maybe the critics of the world would instantly like make fun of it. Oh, it's a canon movie, or Bronson's just past his prime making these movies. It's like, we get some really cool stuff along the way too.
They were big on especially got names that had clout but couldn't really get movies made as easily or what they wanted to do.
Yeah,
and John Cassavetes was he did Love Streams. You had Robert Altman coming off of like Popeye and a bunch of like stage adaptations doing Fall for Love with Cannon.
Yeah.
You have Franco Zeffirelli doing Otello with them. So many names.
King Lear is another one I think of too.
Who's that?
King Lear is.
Yeah. Godard.
Yeah.
John Frankenheimer doing 52 Pickup, like straight out of rehab.
Multiple versions of 52 Pickup happening under different names, like the Ambassador. Yeah. That's what if you guys have any interest in this stuff at all and about, movies were made and not made and how did these movies happen? Austin's books are filled with so much information, and I've read both of them so many times. Like, and also they're great, way better than I always joke about IMDb BS. Like there's the stuff in here is like very well researched, and it's not like I love when IMDb stuff is like, I love fake IMDb stuff that sneaks out now. There's a lot of Steven Seagal ones in his movies. There was one of the other days, like Steven Seagal never turns his head in this entire movie. And I'm like, does he? Like he totally but it's really easy to get, anybody can get their IMDb facts in. It's a lot harder to get your book published.
Meanwhile, I keep trying to post several things on IMDb that I know are true.
Yeah.
And I know they're accurate and I know they're true. And people always come and take them down or else they alter them. I gave up. I can't evangelize the entire world,
Yeah.
Let's get to the movie.
Let's do it. Austin, thanks for coming on and thanks for talking ninja stuff.
No, anytime.
And I hope everybody enjoys this. It's on Tubi. There's some other links that are out there, but hope you guys enjoy it. We're doing the action side of the drive-in this week instead of all horror, so it's a little different, but
yeah,
there's enough action in here to totally get you through it.
We are still on brand doing this kind of thing because we most of what we do is weird, obscure horror stuff, but
yeah,
you know, there were many other genres at the drive-in too, and action is sort of adjacent to horror. Like a lot of those fans cross over, in my opinion.
Especially martial arts movies, I think there's a great crossover. If you weren't seeing horror or sex at a grindhouse, you were probably seeing a kung fu movie.
It's the kind of geeky thing that really turns people on, and they love it.
There's an awesome skull face mask in this. That'll get you through it. A metal skull face in this. Like years before Chrome Skull, there's a metal skull face in this. So awesome.
All right. So go watch the movie. It's on Tubi. The link is on Groovy Doom. Or just go to Tubi and search. We'll see ya.